How do you build long-term relationship with investors?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I've built any long-term, because I mean, just to put it frankly, I've only been in the real estate industry technically for less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years.
Yes. Yeah. So the main focus from a brokerage standpoint is value. You know, I'd much rather have 5 really high value properties, and I don't mean high value in terms of price. I'm talking about the information, the developer is good, or the landlord is really good, and we really have like a global outlook in regards to how we develop properties and also the properties that we look to bring to market. So when you have those types of standards, it's just about picking a niche, right?
Hi guys, this is the Black Billionaire. You're welcome to another episode of the $1 Billion Dream podcast.
So what you were saying.
So your content popped up on my TikTok FYP while I was still in Abuja, sometimes around June, July 2025, and then I was in the real estate industry. It was not quite favorable to me, so I was still navigating my path. And you talked about the real estate market, and you came with facts, and it was just quite different from what the average realtors do. So can you tell us how you were able to do something different? I mean, you stood out.
It's actually very simple. The principle is just that I'm showing what I'm learning at the same time. You know, I'm quite young, really just starting out in the real estate industry. So there's no deep well of expertise within me. I mean, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. My parents have been in the real estate industry for many, many years, and a lot of people around me as well. However, for me personally, and my approach is primarily based on what I am learning as I go along, as I work in the industry, as I meet new people and so on. And it just so happens that there's a camera that I'm holding at the same time whilst doing that. So I think maybe that's what's novel, is that a lot of people might be a bit fearful to showcase what they are learning and how they're going about expanding their knowledge base about their industry. But I just saw that as an opportunity to create content and, you know, gather a following and distribute the things that I was interested in.
Okay, so before we go into the session proper, I just want to ask you a few questions. Can you tell us more about yourself, your background, educationally, and you know?
Yeah, so I grew up. I mean, we started off just by saying that do I understand pidgin?
Exactly.
and I do. But I mean, I grew up largely overseas. So early days, I was in South Africa. Moved to England when I was quite young, boarding school. So a real kind of diaspora upbringing, mostly in the UK. I graduated from King's College London.
Wow.
Studied business management, and you know that wasn't too many years ago. Now we're still, you know, I'm closer to when I graduated than you might think. So, you know, a lot of my upbringing was centered around the idea of like a structured, well-informed education. But parallel to that, ran this really, really strong idea of passion being the primary value driver for everything that you do. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. Everyone in my family is actually an entrepreneur in their own right. So really creating, I didn't know that I wanted to study business or even go into necessarily being an entrepreneur until quite late in my education. In fact, I thought I was going to be an engineer until I was, you know, essentially going to university. You know, not that I was good at maths or good at science. It just seemed like the well-structured thing to do. But I think as you grow up and you learn more about the world, and that idea of what does passion really mean, what are you really interested in, kind of starts to weave in. Yeah, so I went to study business in university, and the rest is history, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the Nigerian real estate market? Because while I was in Abuja, I noticed if you're driving through Gwarimpa, Wuse, and some of those major areas, you find out that a lot of people are should I say trekking, you know, on the road with handbills, with flyers, and everybody in Abuja is now a realtor.
Do
you think the industry or the sector is saturated?
Yeah, so I don't think any sector in the world is saturated. I think every industry obviously has its, its periodic highs and lows in terms of interest and demand and so on and so forth. There's market dynamics.
Sure.
But I definitely don't think the real estate industry is saturated. What I do think is that, we have this running joke that anybody in Nigeria could be a realtor. Your gatesman is your realtor. Your driver is your realtor. It doesn't matter largely, or people feel as though it doesn't matter who's selling them the property. It's really about who has access to information. That's also a systemic thing. So, I mean, in certain countries, in order to actually be able to transact and deal in real estate, you have to have certain levels of certifications.
Okay.
Whether it's
unlike here, everybody wakes up and just
and you can transact. But again, largely Nigeria is largely transacts in informal markets. So we're compounding, trying to put in structure in place, and at the end of the day, it's always going to be up to the buyer to decide on whether or not the person that they're looking to transact with is of the correct standing in order to actually complete whatever deal that they're, if you want to transact with a gatesman, then you transact with a gatesman. If you want to do it with somebody that's, 10 years in the industry, has certifications, then you'll do that. But I think it makes it more dynamic and a little bit more fun also. So, I mean,
You see, and that brings us to you as a business development expert at a multi-million-dollar firm.
I mean, not experts yet, so I say we're still, again, like the celebrity thing, we're still negotiating.
You're experts. So just take it. I'm not trying to. You're expert.
I appreciate that.
And please don't play the I'm hungry game.
Hey,
you are.
No.
All right, so how do you identify opportunities in the property market? Because why I asked the previous question was because it looks like the industry is saturated. I was in that industry and I never closed the deal.
Oh, wow.
Not even one.
Not even one. At least short lets.
Exactly. I mean,
no, fair enough. Honestly.
And the properties I had then were not as expensive as the ones you have. And I'm like, if your properties are more expensive and you're closing deals, how is someone like me not able to close deals even when they are less expensive? So I just want to know how you identify profitable opportunities in the industry.
For sure. I mean, one thing I would say is that the deal value is not as much a marker of whether or not a deal should close. So I mean, if you can have a property that's 50 million naira take as long as a property that's 5 billion naira to sell.
Sure, exactly.
It's about whether you have a good product. And I think that therein lies the crux of your question, which is, how are we selling properties potentially at a better rate than other people when it seems like everybody is trying to sell properties and some people are doing good, some people are doing bad. At the end of the day, it's just about understanding your product and actually picking the right product. So, similar to the vein of thought that the property market is saturated, there's also a lot of bad product out there. Same as there's a lot of bad people that don't have good servicing, right? I'm not saying that was your situation. We'll come back to why you weren't able to sell, because I'm interested in that aspect. But I think that the product is the number one thing. Understanding it comprehensively is another thing. And then again, a third I might keep coming back to this idea of passion. Real estate for most people will be the highest value asset that they own in their lives, for most people.
Yeah.
So if the person that is trying to market and sell that to you doesn't actually care about the thing that they're selling to you, it's going to be bad for both parties.
Sure.
So including the developer, even in that situation, including everyone in the value chain.
Yeah.
So at some point in that value chain, somebody has to care enough. And that's my opportunity, is that I care about the spaces that I look to create and sell.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Beautiful. So I would say what separates a successful real estate firm from thousands of others. But then it's just what you said.
Yeah.
But then we'd still love to know: are there more factors that separates real estate firms from thousands of others?
Yeah, I mean, the real estate, again,
in quotes, successful ones?
Successful. Real estate, I don't want to put it on a pedestal in the sense that it's a very dynamic market. The market factors, there's, the people, there's the properties, right? There's the external factors such as legislation, macroeconomics, and all that type of thing. And all of these have to kind of work together for one individual to end up with a home that they really love, or for one company to end up with an office that they really love. So just like within other markets, you kind of have to pick your niche.
Yeah.
We chose to work with high value properties because not just obviously the distribution in regards to the economics of what you earn, but also because those are the types of properties that we understand. There's also the type of clients that we understand. And we really have like a global outlook in regards to how we develop properties and also the properties that we look to bring to market. So when you have those types of standards, it's just about picking a niche, right? Whatever standards that you live by in your normal everyday life, how does that translate to the type of products that you want to sell? So within real estate, niching down, understanding your specific product again. I think that's just the main crux of it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have properties in Abuja?
Yes, yeah. So what we tend to say is that we're not a volume brokerage. This is for Fine and Country West Africa because we of course have Compound, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but we have properties in Abuja.
So Fine in West Africa is different from Compound?
From Compound, yeah. So Compound is a property development company.
Okay.
And Fine and Country West Africa is a high-end real estate brokerage and advisory firm.
Okay.
So the main focus from a brokerage standpoint is value. I'd much rather have 5 really high value properties, and I don't just mean high value in terms of price. I'm talking about the information. The developer is good, or the landlord is really good and is cooperative. The location, obviously. So high value properties then have 100 properties that I'm so on. Yeah. And that's why we could work within Abuja, Lagos, and Asaba, and Ghana, and so on, because we're not looking for every single property on the market to try and flip. We're looking for the ones that we're very confident about. And that's a major switch, I think, for most people. Most people work on volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So how do you build long-term relationship with investors?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I've built any long-term, because just to put it frankly, I've only been in the real estate industry technically for less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years.
Yes.
Doesn't mean.
Yeah. So no, but I'll answer how I'm looking to do it. Building relationships with investors is just like it has to essentially be non-transactional.
Okay.
Right, because an investor is very different to a buyer.
Yeah, sure.
Right? An investor is looking long-term, just the same way you're looking to build a long-term relationship. An investor is looking for compounding benefits from whatever they're looking to invest in.
Sorry, if I were watching this, I would take notes, because this is a crash course.
Yeah, it's just the starts, but it's important to note the difference, because when you're talking about a buyer, if I'm in FMCG and I have this bottle of water that I want to sell, the buyer of that bottle of water is getting an immediate benefit, and they're going to throw away the bottle after, or hopefully they have a water bottle, whatever they pour it in, so on. But with an investor, the relationship is an ongoing series of benefits sequentially and hopefully compounding. So that's why it's less so, what do I have to sell this person today, and more so, what is the conversation I want to have with this person today or this month, or so on and so forth. And you'll find that a lot of investor relationships end up being not just, I'm selling you this idea, but we're actually almost co-creating an experience of investing in something together, because I give you information, you tell me a little bit more about the things that you're seeing in the market, and I just so happen to have expertise in this specific thing.
Yeah.
Very similar to wealth management and so on, all these aspects of business that really do require you to have more of an understanding of the person than of the transaction.
Process, yeah.
Yes,
Process.
exactly. So that's how I kind of see things from relationship standpoint. But again, early days. We're waiting to see what that looks like over the next decade or so. I try to think in
Okay.
longer term
So
spans.
I'm going to be goofy a little.
Please,
So
please.
let me take off my glasses.
Try across my legs and just
So
yeah.
Chuka, this is the black balloon here.
Mm.
Give me your pitch deck. Pitch.
All right. It depends on which what I'm trying to bring forward, but at this moment in time, we're looking at the market specifically
Okay.
within Nigeria as a major opportunity, and both the macroeconomic factors and the microeconomic factors that are being translated in the world, high level macroeconomic factors, whether you're talking about war or culturally, a lot more diaspora interest within Africa, and then specifically, of course, within Nigeria being one of the largest economies on the continent. And then microeconomic factors in regards to the way people are looking to live. I mean, even within the luxury sector, the change from product focus to experience focus means that Lagos in and of itself and other established or establishing markets are in a unique position to have actors such as, for example, Compound, our property development company, create products, developments that are actually catered towards the way that people want to live their lives today, which is both locally, culturally centered, and designed for a lifestyle and experience of today. So Compound, for example, we focus on design-led real estate and developing properties that follow a very simple design principle that we call ALL. So that's airflow, light, and landscape. It's very simple. And we boil down the entire macro and microeconomic situation that our investors are interested in into those design principles, meaning that if they want a property, it has to have those three things. It has to maximize airflow, it has to maximize light, and it has to maximize landscape. So we're building projects within Nigeria and within Lagos as a start, because we see that the way the world is going, it's a significant opportunity to not just bring a product to the market that people would be interested in, but also maybe right some of the wrongs of some of the other actors that have maybe misplaced.
I wouldn't want to call names.
No, I mean we don't. It's not to name anyone specifically, but we're just looking to do it right.
Okay.
So my case for Nigeria is very strong. My case for Africa is even much stronger, and we do take a what some might call a Pan-African idealism when it comes to our investment strategy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you live the major part of your life overseas.
Definitely.
Why are you so interested in the African markets?
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond just business. It's now passion and social impact. So why are you so passionate about the market here? About
the market. I mean, the first and I guess most obvious answer is that it's home. From a literal perspective, I mean, my family specifically also is very rooted in where we're from. I'm from Delta State, a place called Ogwashuku. Very rooted in where we're from. But from a larger perspective, the opportunity is there. And I think if we're talking about, this is a business podcast talking about billionaires and becoming billionaires and so on. There's a major investment focus, not just from African companies, but also international corporations. And we have the youngest, Africa is the youngest continent in the world. There's already major schools of thought that focus on Gen Z, for example, as a major market segment. And so we therefore have the largest market segment of Gen Z in the world. But beyond that, if we're not just talking financially, if we're not just talking culturally in my own heritage, beyond that, I feel that there's a massive shift happening right now. So a term I've been using often in conversations is Renaissance.
Renaissance.
Yeah, my sister would probably be more articulate at speaking about this because this is her field of thought. But
I think
yeah.
I think we spoke the other time, and then I told you about the talk on table, my SDG 16.
Exactly.
So there was a time I convened a session where we talked about the African Renaissance and the Portus policies.
Oh, interesting.
I'm digressing a little bit.
No, please.
Yeah. So I love politics. I love public administration. So just came up with something when Donald Trump came in as the 47th
major shift,
and then he started to cut off some stuff from Africa, like Nigeria particularly, like the USAID and stuff. So I came up with a concept, and then I brought in some guys, and then we talked about the African Renaissance and the Portus policies. I think you can marry these two concepts together. So when you mentioned Renaissance, my mind went there. Yeah. But that's we're digressing. Let's just go back.
No, that's a perfect example of it. I mean, I have a few people that work in like politics and politics adjacent. Listen, I'm not the most. I do read a lot. I can't quote.
It's very, very evident.
Oh, thank you. I mean, but funnily enough, I was going to say that I'm not great at, quoting specific facts and this and that. But what I do understand is sentiment, is market sentiment and consumer behavior, or what I like to believe I understand.
You mentioned this the first time we spoke on.
Yeah,
I think Wednesday, 2 weeks back.
That's what my focus was, right? Yeah. So I can understand an idea, right? And then find the evidence that idea is what's happening in the market by way of what we're actually already actioning. And lo and behold, the sentiment that I have found through numerous conversations, not just with diaspora, but even people already living on the continent, that this is what we have to stick with. We have to make things better. We have to build the schools, right? We have to build the healthcare distribution chains, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, who else is going to do it?
Sure.
You said yourself, you study the USAID retraction. And that aspect of understanding that the wealth isn't just in the money that flows into the continent, it's also in who is building the systems.
Sure.
Is really what's at stake, and I think that's the major opportunity and focus point for myself and for many other people that are doing excellent work.
So, what mistakes do you think new developers often make before they delve into the market?
So, specifically property developers, of course.
Yes, property developers.
Yeah. So, the two major choke points for most developers tends to be, first of all, funding and then distribution. Two very key aspects of property development. The funding obviously being essentially critical. And for example, we have a threshold for developers that we work with that we tend to only work with developers that have at least 50%, preferably around 60%. But if they're they have a lot of history and reputation within the game, maybe around 40% of funding already secured to develop. Because what a lot of people come into the development aspect saying is that, listen, let's have this concept, I've maybe done some architectural drawings, so on and so forth. I'll just let off-takers fund it, right? And there's models for that. Like, for example, some people do syndicates, where it's essentially a group of people coming together specifically just to build as a group. And therefore the funding is already there because all the people that are coming together have their funding because they're getting units specifically within the house. But most developers tend to be a little bit more laissez-faire about the funding side of things, and then you find a lot of development stall because that funding hasn't been really structured. The other side is distribution. So distribution in the sense of who exactly is the end user for these properties. It's very easy to build what they built on the next streets, which is a 5-bedroom duplex, villa, luxury, whatever. Very easy, and it seems my dad was saying that it's almost as if all the architects went to the same school, but I've spoken with some really good architects. So, at the end of the day, it's what the developers want, because they're seeing one of their friends built it, and therefore they'll develop the same thing. So it depends on also the type of developer. Are they a single individual that's just trying their hand, or is this an institutional developer? But distribution is a major. Who is actually the end user? How are we getting the property to the market? Do we care about the branding? Do we care about the end user?
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think housing deficits can be solved in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years.
Is it too short?
I mean, no. Listen, I'm not an economist, or what would you even call it? Maybe it's not economist. Isn't the right lingo? But the housing deficit is obviously a major factor within what's driving the market dynamics right now. One thing I do want to correct is that I believe that it seems as though there's more luxury developments in Nigeria than affordable housing. But that's
exactly.
I mean, but if you think about it by measure of feasibility, that's impossible. There can't actually be more. Luxury developments just get more publicity. So, but what you might ask is, do more developers desire to do luxury properties rather than affordable housing? And I would say probably. The reason for that is a lot deeper. I mean, again, the best thing you can do is look at models and where things have worked. Singapore has an amazing system called the Housing Development Board, and where essentially 80% of the people in the country are housed in essentially government housing. But the key there is that it's not the government that necessarily built the housing. Is that they heavily subsidize private developers and institutional developers to develop that housing. So where do we now end up? Is the government also putting in place a system that enables developers to develop more affordable housing? So one key is the profit margins. Most developers in Nigeria, as I've only really recently been learning in the last year or so, are chasing about 100%. In some cases, maybe 50% profit margins. But when you're developing affordable housing, whether it's here, overseas, or anywhere, most developers doing affordable housing are doing maybe 20%, sometimes 10% margins. And they accept that on two major conditions. Number one is scale, meaning that I'm going to do a lot of units, right? And then the second one is subsidization, is that the government is going to have my back on material costs, is going to have my back on the entire build outs, and potentially even, for example, in Singapore, off-takers. So the people are actually going to invest in those properties. So it has to make sense for all parties. It can't be forced, but the housing deficit, people range different numbers, 15, 20 million units. It can't be solved by any one actor in the market.
Because I have been wondering, you'd see someone earning, say, 500K in a month, and then you're coming with a house of, say, 250 million, you're pitching it to him. I do not think such persons have the purchasing power to do it. To do it. And Abuja, for example, you see lots of houses in central areas, and there are people working there, but they cannot afford houses there. So I'm like, maybe some of these developers don't really do their due diligence in terms of research, knowing people's purchasing power. What's the average Nigerian earning before I build a property of this kind in so area or so location?
I see. So what you're asking about is not just the housing deficit, but specifically even when houses are built, are they being built in areas that it makes sense for the people that are living there? Very interesting.
I think there's a developer who does that in Abuja. EFAB. EFAB. I feel anyway come across EFAB.
No, I'm not sure.
He has properties virtually in every area. So his properties are, they fit categories of people depending on the areas they're located, where they stay.
Definitely.
That's by the way.
The market is so young, so a lot of the terminology that's even used, CFO, your title documents, like RFO, land use charge, all these things are, it's constantly developing and evolving in regards to the types of language that people use. And that's also a very core aspect. I mean, we've even, for example, when we market, we don't say master bedroom, we say main suite. So it's things like that are really important in trying to encapsulate exactly, like I'd rather say service quarters than boys quarters.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So it's things like that that start to actually define a market, because all the language you use carries certain sentiments about why you used it. So you were in Abuja for a long time, so a lot of the language that I'm sure you heard is maybe even is different to what
FCDA,
yeah.
IROFO.
I mean, no, FCDA is like that. That's the standard term for sure. I was the one that was sorry, it's because we were talking about it off camera. I was the one that was getting it mixed up. But I mean, yeah, other terminologies might be slightly different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Get you.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So the next one, what are the mitigating measures
for not being defrauded?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, still dependent on the specific type of investment you're looking to make. Everything will always come down to your legal advisory when it comes to that. Like if your lawyer is doing the necessary due diligence, whether it's on the actual titling and ownership, it's as much as you can do as an owner and an investor. Ideally, every title is stored at the land registry, and has traceable ownership. As an investor, that's honestly where your worries should end. If it's there, if it's perfected, if it's complete, the documentation is there and complete, and the search has been done, it really does become obviously an issue again in most informal markets that there are many other actors, and the title that's in the registry might not be, the correct, there's all sorts of things that happen even after a perfect search has been done. But, mitigating circumstances within our specific market is really just about being as savvy as possible about the advisory that you're getting, and it does typically, when it comes to owning a building and investing in a building, come down to title ownership. That's why there's so much talk about, do you have your title? Do you have your CFOs, the governance consent, and all these types of things, and understanding all of those different dynamics. As much as possible before making any transaction, especially on things like off-plan properties that aren't even built yet. So yeah, title ownership, doing your search, and then also conversations with other people that have potentially also invested. Testimonials are a really good aspect. So speaking to other investors or people that might have a relationship with the investment asset that you're looking at. The necessary due diligence, but at some point as an investor your mind has to rest. You can't, you're not the government. The government has its job within mitigating those circumstances, so at some point you have to say that I've done what I've needed to do.
Yeah. So how has the government been beneficial to this sector?
I mean, for example, the Ministry of Finance just came out with their answer to the mortgage situation, which speaks to a lot of the both on the end user as well as the developer side. So they're finally offering, not finally, I believe they've had previous initiatives attempt it, but MOFI put together an initiative called MREIF, MREIF. And that's offering about...
What did you say it is?
MREIF.
MREIF.
MREIF, I believe. Yeah, and that's single-digit interest rates for the mortgages, about 9.75%, I believe.
Oh, that's...
So, I mean, there's mortgage facilities available. The issue is that, the actual proliferation of mortgages in Nigeria is I think our penetration rate is below 10% or something like that. It's very, very low. Yeah. But it is something that the government is making a concerted attempt at doing. And then on the developer side as well, subsidizing, I believe they have a part of the MREIF program, developers doing more than 100 units and some other stipulations get a certain subsidy. So there's aspects. Is it enough is what the question will always be, Yeah. But have you started investing in real estate? Have you attempted? What's the kind of consensus? Are you still in the lease space?
I'm a billionaire in transit.
There you go. There you go.
Very soon. So I binge watch you on TikTok, and I haven't seen you do anything with regards to investments in core North. Like
Yes.
not core. Okay, let's not
Yeah.
go too core. See Kaduna, not central, northwest,
Yeah.
Kaduna, Plateau, Niger.
Have you seen me do anything in mainland? There you go.
Shots fired.
No. I mean, no, it's not. It's what I'm more so saying is that I'm still very early in my specific, and then also what I was saying about
pardon me.
niching.
You see,
No, it's okay.
the mistake is from me. Your wealth of experience and expertise makes me think you've been in the game for like decades. So I tend to just
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It also we might come across as though we should essentially have expanded, but also, I mean, a large part of real estate is location focused, right?
Yeah.
So we really focus on Lagos Island because we really understand that market.
I wanted to ask you that because I noticed it was just Island and then some parts of Abuja.
Abuja, yeah, definitely.
It's not even the Abuja is not everywhere. You don't have a property in Kubwa.
There you go. So again, it's and that's what I meant earlier in the conversation about value, not volume, because most people, it's like anywhere and everywhere as long as like, somebody just gives me information, but I'd much rather really deeply understand the specific types of properties and market that I'm operating within, than try to expand out too quickly and have like just kind of a cursory understanding of the things that I'm marketing.
Value, not volume.
Yeah.
There's a car brand. Is it Bugatti or Rolls Royce? I don't know, one of
Ferrari.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The brand said its customers don't watch TV.
There you go.
So they have just a list of people who patronize them. So I'm not really sure of the brand. So when you mentioned value and not volume, I get to think of it in this aspect. It's not just about looking for customers, it's about targeting specific
type of customer.
In this case, elite.
Not necessarily, but I get where, again, and maybe that's my marketing hasn't hit the mark there. Because I think most people attribute obviously the value part obviously to cost, to the price, or the price rather, of the property. But value for me is a myriad of things, but chief of them being information actually.
Okay.
I can't sell a property I don't know anything about. Meaning that the developer, the property owner, the landlord is not giving. We create something called an investor pack. It's essentially a sample of an offer. It's a sample of the title. It's a sample of all the necessary, the services that building holds, and so on. And it's a necessary asset for us to understand what the actual value of the property is. So that's what I mean in terms of value. So when it comes to our customer base, it's not necessarily just elites that I look at or high net worth individuals. It's whilst that might be a heavier distribution based on where our location is based. It's people that just simply understand what they want. I came into this building and I told you that it actually, the facade of this building, the way it looks like a building I just came from doing a viewing at, right? And I'm looking at this as like, okay, I haven't come to the mainland a lot. Let's take a look inside, because this could be a mandate of ours. Like this could be a property that I'd love to show people, depending on the different aspects. So my next thing would be, okay, let's talk to the landowner or the landlord and find out certain information that would then allow me to understand whether or not this project is valuable to me.
I think that's a good idea.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a switch, because it means that you have to be passionate about the things that you're selling, no matter who's trying to buy it. So then when we put out things in the market or on social media or newsletters or whatever, the people that are seeing it, they might not even have the money for the specific unit that we showed them that day, but they're attached to our brand because they love what they see from the perspective of they understand value. I don't know, maybe that was a roundabout way of saying it, but I think it was, it's an interesting aspect that I've been playing around with.
You're so big on value, and that's one thing I like about your niche.
Yeah.
So are you Do you have a property in the United Arab Emirates?
We do.
Yeah, I
Yes.
thought as much. So how do you, what are your challenges as foreign investors?
Yeah. So I mean, luckily, personally, I have not just a Nigerian passport, which some people don't like to talk about because it's taboo. It's like but it is a bit more difficult if you just have a Nigerian passport. I'm sorry to say if it's some people's first time hearing it, but so I've watched whether it's my parents, even members of my family, look to invest overseas, and it's either it takes a longer period of time to do the due diligence because of where we come from, or other aspects such as the currency devaluation.
Yeah,
it's a major one, right? If you're earning in Naira and then you try to invest in the UAE, which is mostly a lot of them dollar denominated and so on and so forth. Over the course of 10 years, Naira has devalued to, 10 almost, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those core aspects that if you're Nigerian in general earning Naira, investing overseas is quite a difficult aspect.
Yeah.
Based on a lot of things you mostly don't even have control of, such as your birth or the currency,
I had a mentor.
Yeah.
I think he deals with Dubai properties.
Okay.
So he shared this nugget one time, and he was sharing how difficult it is to get scam if you invest in. And it was a very good idea. I mean, it was a very insightful talk. According to him, if you're getting the property as a foreigner, as non-resident, you send the money to the Dubai government or the Saudi government, the Emirates government, however they call it, and then they get the investor or the developer and pay the money into his account. So if Nigeria adopts a principle like that, I think it's a very good way to mitigate fraud and scam in the industry. But then I was still looking out to know if his facts were correct. So maybe you could just
that's definitely along the right path. So for example, property developers, they don't receive, it's held in a escrow when you invest in a property in Dubai. Not every single type of property. Some people pay cash straight up, but most especially large scale property developments, if I invest in a 2-bedroom unit, that money doesn't go straight to the developer. It gets held in an escrow. Then that developer has to meet certain stage requirements of that development in order to receive some of the funds.
That's a very good regulatory.
And there's other major ones. I mean, I'll give you another one. In Dubai, no more than 3 agents can market a property. Which is I don't even have to. It's a major shift.
This has no business with an Abuja realtor. They're like thousands of us marketing man.
Yes, and it ends up being a big problem. And funnily enough, it devalues the property completely.
Actually,
so there's some regulatory aspects. There's some regulatory aspects that definitely.
This is a crash course for me, and I'm beginning to see why I've not been able to close a deal. Yes, I mean, you just said something, and it's as if a veil is taking off.
100%.
It's not about the marketing. It's not about the PR and ads. It's about value.
Yes.
I mean, I've not seen any other person marketing the properties I've seen on your page. I've not seen another person trying to sell them off. It's just you, and then maybe. It's just you. Yeah,
so we pitch what we do is we pitch mostly for exclusive mandates. That's like our golden kind of property, is that we have an exclusive on it.
Okay.
It's not common here, and it's definitely not easy to get a lot of developers to opt for that. But a large part of that because there's quite a few mandates that we have that we don't have an exclusive on. But then it does become about how you market it.
So what advice do you have for someone out there who wants to venture into the real estate market or the industry as a developer, a marketer, or anything? What advice do you have? For someone like me, I think I was not properly armed with the right information.
Information.
Yeah, like I said, this is a crash course.
Yeah.
I just learned a lot. I learned a whole lot. It's not about the volume. It's
Yeah.
about the value.
Yeah.
And if I had this knowledge prior to this moment, I'd rather go pitch myself to a firm that is in line with this thought process.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for someone who wants to venture into
Yeah.
the industry? What can you give him? What informations do you want to arm this person with, so that at the end of the day, he would find it profitable?
Yeah. Advice for anyone venturing into this industry: know what you own, and then distribution is everything. So you have to be a perfect expert at what it is that you own, what you have in your hands. And so that could be either tangible assets, meaning, okay, you have this apartment, could you sublease it? Could you use it as short let? Could you sell it if you own it, or so on and so forth? Be a perfect expert on the things that you own. It might be something intangible. You might be a perfect expert on how developments come about. Perfect expert on the environments that you live in, or whatever that might be. So you have to be a perfect expert about your product first, and then distribution is everything.
All right.
Right. Bringing that to the market and identifying the specific type of client base. Distribution is, my primary business philosophy. It's everything to me. Yeah.
It was a privilege having you on this episode of the $1 Billion Dream podcast.
Thank you.
I look forward to more episodes.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't wait to come back on. I think that there's so many things that we didn't touch on.
Yeah.
That I know that people want to hear about, and also that I'm curious from your end about. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
And I also want to come for mentorship, so that when I bounce back into the industry,
we'll co-mentor.
All right. All right, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks. All right, thanks.
Blah, 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 blah.